And if I told you once, I ain't gonna tell you twice. Salute all my real yeah, why U.S. pharmacies overcharge? Because this is supposed to be the richest country, and they find ways to well, one, we live in a capitalist society. Two, politicians need money, and pharmaceutical companies have a lot of it, and they could basically buy the politicians, pass the laws that allow them to run rampant and allow them to charge, exorbitant prices where you go to other countries. Have y'all ever seen the documentary Sicko by Michael Moore? Go watch that if y'all haven't. And basically it shows like some drug here was like $5,000 for like a week or a month's supply. And people was pulling up to Cuba. I don't know how they got there, but they pulled up to Cuba. That same medicine was like $3 over there. $5,000 here, $3,000 over there. They only charge crazy prices because they know that they could get away with that here in America, and it's the richest country in the world, and people are gonna be forced to pay it. That's neither here nor there. We're gonna get straight to the video. Like button, subscribe button, notification bell, press those. Let's go! Wow.
Revenue from U.S. retail pharmacies reached a record $465 billion in 2020.
The United States pays more for drugs than any other country.
Drug prices are totally irrational. Something that should cost $2 often costs $300 because of the complicated relationship between insurance companies and pharmacies and coverage.
Millions of people get their prescription drugs from pharmacies like CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid.
I like to describe it as it's the pharmacist really being the most accessible healthcare professional. It's the last provider that most patients see before going home.
Those in the industry say maintaining a dynamic pharmaceutical delivery system helps the consumer save money.
Patients have a wide array of choices on which pharmacy they like to go to. They're likely going to go to the pharmacy that gives them the best experience and the lowest cost for their medications.
But nearly 1 in 4 Americans.
I don't know if y'all ever saw the movie Thank You for Smoking. This is a theme I've seen a lot of movies. Thank You for Smoking was with Aaron Eckhart. He was the dude that played Harvey Dent in the Batman movies, the Dark Knight movies. But in the movie, he basically is a representative, a lobbyist for the tobacco industry. And like that dude right there is exactly like he's just paid to basically just flip the truth or make people doubt, whatever convictions or feelings they have about a company, just enough to make people say, you know what, I'm not going to bother with it.
Americans say it's difficult to afford their medications, according to a March 2019 poll by the Kaiser Family Foundation.
I'll do whatever it takes to help a consumer find a fair price.
They're profiting from what is fundamentally a broken system. It is fundamentally a deep problem we have.
So how did the system of delivering prescription drugs become so complicated? Why do pharmacies exist? And how can consumers best save money? The business of pharmacy throughout the 1800s was primarily selling medications, compounding drugs on site for their patients. But new technology and mass manufacturing forced them to pivot, pushing them closer to the drugstore model we know today. Pharmacists moved their laboratories and equipment to the back of the shop, leaving space to sell other items such as candy and tobacco products. This ushered in what is called the soda fountain era of pharmacies.
If you see a lot of pictures of pharmacies from the late 1800s, early 1900s, these are beautiful pharmacies. They have elaborate soda fountains, they've got marble counters. Once you get into about the 1920s, 1930s, this whole front end of the pharmacy, stuff that happened in the pharmacy which was not related to compounding, not related to dispensing, really took off and became what pharmacies did for not only the majority of their revenue and sales, but the vast majority.
When Prohibition went into effect in 1919, sale and consumption of alcohol for, quote, medicinal purposes was allowed, creating a legal loophole that many physicians and pharmacists exploited. Front-of-the-store activities were the main business for pharmacies in this era, with less than 1% of pharmacies in the 1930s making more than half of their sales in dispensing. Soda fountains also replaced the local bar as a place to socialize. Pharmacists used some of their chemistry knowledge to create fun flavorings for new soft drinks, such as root beer, Dr. Pepper, and Coca-Cola. While they could still technically prescribe medication during this time, it was considered unethical to give out drugs without a physician's recommendation. Often referred to as the lick, stick, and pour era, the 1950s saw another shift in pharmacy practices. A clear legal distinction was drawn between pharmacists' and physicians' role in dispensing medication with the passage of the Durham-Humphrey Amendments in 1951.
That is the first federal law that said this is a prescription and this is an OTC product. There was some distinction for controlled substances before that, but really before Durham-Humphrey, there was nothing legally, in most cases, that would stop a pharmacist from giving a patient something without a prescription.
Physicians, however, continued to dispense medication through the 1980s. Around that time, there was a spike in the use of third-party insurance plans for prescriptions.
Physicians, by and large, got out of dispensing the types of medications that you would get through the pharmacy, partially because the process of setting up the systems that you need to dispense and maintaining those and all the regulations that then go along with it are just so onerous that it no longer makes sense for your average physician to dispense.
This retail model for pharmacies is a lucrative business. Major drugstores such as CVS and Walgreens make the majority of their money from their pharmacy.
For retailers, the pharmacies are really a traffic driver. So if you think about CVS and Walgreens in particular, you walk through their whole store to get to the pharmacy in most cases. And that may mean that you pick up things like toothpaste or shampoo when you're going to or from the pharmacy counter. So it's not only a way to drive traffic, it's really a way to drive sales. CVS recently reported its second quarter earnings, and if you even look at its quarterly sales or its annual sales, you'll see that the pharmacy drives the most revenue of its three different categories.
CVS, which held the largest share of the prescription drug market in 2020, generated more than $72 billion in total revenue in the second quarter of 2021, with $24.7 billion of that from its retail pharmacy and long-term care businesses, and $38.3 billion from its pharmacy benefit management services, which we'll get to in a minute. Walgreens has the second largest share of the market. It generated $28.7 billion in U.S. sales during its fiscal third quarter of 2021. $21.7 billion of it was from U.S. dispensing services. In principle, the way pharmacies make money should be simple. Buy a product in bulk at a low price and then sell it at a higher price that's still a competitive rate. However, insurance negotiations make it more complex.
The reason why pharmacies overcharge is they want to charge a price that they will make money on for any given third-party payer that's going to contract with them.
Retail pharmacies set the list price of a prescription above the amount they expect to get from any insurance company. That's because an insurance company will never reimburse a pharmacy more than they will charge a cash-paying customer. So if the prescription price at the pharmacy is $20 and the insurance company pays $10, the uninsured patient would be forced to pay $20. If the pharmacy lowered their price to, let's say, $5, the insurance company would only pay them the $5, because that's what's often called the usual and customary price. So pharmacies always set a list price that is far above what they expect to get from an insurance company. People who are uninsured, don't have the benefit of insurance, end up paying the highest list undiscounted price for their prescriptions.
There are also organizations called Pharmacy Benefit Managers, or PBMs, that influence pricing. PBMs are hired by health insurance companies to serve as an intermediary between the insurers and other parts of the system.
An insurance company basically says, we'll bring in an intermediary whose specialty it is to be able to negotiate what type of prescription plans.
All I'm hearing is the middleman is coming through to get his cut of the profits, and it's just gonna cost you more bread. That's all I'm hearing.
Or drug cost or coverage would be best for the insurer. That middle person acts as the go-between.
But PBMs are controversial within the industry.
They play multiple roles in the system. So they're also in many cases operating pharmacies. And many of the pharmacies feel aggrieved because they are now competing with the entity that they're also negotiating with for payment. And they perceive that to be negative.
There should be negotiations between the PBMs and the pharmacies. The pharmacies should be able to say, look, we'll only accept this price, and the PBMs say yes or no, but it's take it or leave it.
The top three PBMs, CVS Health's Caremark, Cigna's Express Scripts, and United Health Group's OptumRx, processed about 77% of all prescription claims in 2020, according to Drug Channels Institute. All of these businesses also have a pharmacy division.
So CVS, through their Caremark branch, decides what Joe's Pharmacy or Susie's Pharmacy or Walgreens will get paid. So yeah, it's a conflict of interest. Express Scripts, their mail order group, they are one of the largest pharmacies. They also decide what retail pharmacies get paid. And isn't it interesting that a lot of times they'll try to steer patients from a retail pharmacy into their mail order pharmacy? That's not a coincidence.
When asked for comment, CVS Health told CNBC its model simplifies healthcare for customers and its PBM held clients' prescription drug cost increases to just 3% in 2020. Express Scripts PBM said its broad networks give patients a range of choices for where and how to fill their medications, saving nearly $45 billion in 2020. OptumRx declined to comment.
My name is Greg Lopes. I work with the Pharmaceutical Care Management Association. That is the trade association representing
the lobbyists. This is the guy that's going to slick talk. He's basically the car salesman. Watch. He's going to say some car salesman-y things. Watch.
America's pharmacy benefit managers. We don't think that is a conflict of interest, and we think that they're
We don't think that that's a conflict of interest. We decide the prices. Oh, by the way, we have this business that we decide the prices for the other businesses. Plus, we get to talk to you and we'll tell you to do come with us instead of that. Like literally the first sentence, he's already lying.
There is a choice for patients to go to any pharmacy of their choosing. They're likely going to go to the pharmacy that gives them the best experience and the lowest cost for their medications.
You need some kind of entity to manage, to be an intermediary in this system. I think the question is, are the PBM's incentives aligned with their clients, and are they aligned with driving the lowest cost for the system and the lowest cost to the patients?
No.
Pharmacies themselves are not heavily regulated when it comes to setting generic drug prices.
Federal regulation on actual drug prices, as long as there is no antitrust issue, have been very weak. Pharmacies have been generally left to set prices at whatever they want.
Once third-party payers such as PBMs came into the picture in the 1960s, pharmacies lost some control over pricing.
It's at that point where pharmacists, instead of setting a price and having a person walk in and agree to pay the price or not, all of a sudden you have this negotiation with a pharmacy benefit manager, and it's totally different than what the pharmacist is used to. And their margins on products starts to fall fairly steeply.
A lot of people don't know there is a prescription drug supply and payment chain, and within that chain, there are 5 or 6 actors. If you look at it really closely, PBMs are the only ones driving the cost of drugs down.
State legislators have been focusing on regulating pharmacy benefit managers rather than pharmacies themselves. 42 states have introduced at least one law aimed at regulating PBMs. The Supreme Court issued a unanimous decision in December 2020 regarding states' rights when it comes to regulating PBMs. The ruling said that the states had a right to require PBMs to reimburse pharmacies for drugs at a rate that is higher or equal to the wholesale costs the pharmacies paid for them. There's also been regulations considered at the federal level. The U.S. Senate Finance Committee convened a hearing in February 2019 to question representatives of the major PBMs about rising drug costs. In September 2019, Democratic Congressman Frank Pallone introduced the Elijah E. Cummings Lower Drug Costs Now Act. The House passed the bill in December of that year, but it died in the Senate. In July 2020, former President Donald Trump signed 4 executive orders that aim to lower the high cost of prescription drugs. The Biden administration agreed to push the effective date of one of the more high-profile orders to January 1st, 2023, rather than have it go into effect in 2022.
Congress tends to be sympathetic, but they have not taken much action. And as a result, drug prices...
Well, when it's the oil companies and the pharmaceutical companies being the two industries that spend the most money on basically campaign contributions and trying to buy politicians, we already know why stuff like that's happening.
Keep going up.
There are ways for consumers to still save money on generic drugs, but it requires some work. A Consumer Reports Secret Shopper survey from 2018 found that there was a huge difference between the cost of 5 commonly prescribed generic drugs at different retailers. They found that prices at the independent retailers and big box stores were much lower than those at large chain pharmacies.
One of the lessons from that is to call around, go online, and find a better pricing. But the independents often will have more competitive pricing, especially for generic drugs.
There are also various store coupons and other vouchers that can bring down costs. One way is with something called a discount card. Discount cards are backed by PBMs and provide patients with a discount on the pharmacy's retail price. There are 3 primary types of discount cards: cards created by a PBM itself, cards through a retailer such as Sam's Club or Amazon, and independent brands such as GoodRx. Here's how they work. A PBM creates a network of participating pharmacies that will accept the card and then negotiate with each pharmacy to offer a discount to customers. The pharmacies agree to pay an administrative fee to the PBM when the card is used. The discount card vendors, such as GoodRx, form agreements with the PBMs to receive a portion of that fee.
We work actually with every major PBM, and we work with pretty much every major pharmacy as well, to kind of play that role of an intermediary and ultimately give the consumer the best option for them, which again may often not be their insurance.
GoodRx collected more than $488 million in fees from its discount card programs in 2020.
GoodRx has just taken the discount card model and found a way to scale it in a way that no one else has scaled, both in terms of marketing to consumers and in terms of accessing the network rates of multiple PBMs at the same time. One of the reasons GoodRx has grown so quickly is that it gives the uninsured people or people who have maybe insurance that isn't as good for them an opportunity to get access to some network or discounted rates operated by pharmacy benefit managers and insurance companies.
Because GoodRx is a marketplace and we get billions of prices into our system, we can often find better prices by not using necessarily the insurance that you have, but by finding a better price by simply looking at all these other different ways that consumers can save.
Most of the people using discount cards actually have some kind of health insurance plan, but when a discount card is used, the customer is bypassing their health insurance to use a PBM's insurance network instead.
The fact that we have so many people bypassing their insurance and using another insurance plan shows there's a problem in how generic drugs are priced to the consumers who have insurance, even Medicare or commercial insurance.
If pharmacies receive less money from the customer for a medication and also have to pay a fee to the PBMs, how do they benefit from discount cards?
What the discount card vendors will tell you or tell the pharmacies is, well, if it wasn't for this card, there would be $0 of revenue. The patient wouldn't fill the prescription because the price is too high. By using the discount card, the patient could fill that prescription.
I'll do whatever it takes to help a consumer find a fair price, not just for prescriptions, but for care as well.
Yeah, but what's a fair price, dog? That's the question. Whatever y'all think is a fair price is not a fair price, especially compared with the rest of the countries in this world.
Seeing a doctor, etc., it's broken. And so we can try and point fingers at manufacturers or PBMs or anyone. The reality is they're doing what our system designed. And if we don't like it, we should come up with a better way. But until then, GoodRx is going to be focused on helping
Stu's being an apologist.
Consumers navigate this crazy system, navigate all these complicated terms that people don't understand, just to simply use the same market forces.
And you got too much dye in your beard, dog.
That they use in every other way that they purchase something in healthcare.
I have mixed feelings about GoodRx. I applaud them for what they've done. I applaud the value they bring to consumers. On the other hand, they're profiting from what is fundamentally a broken system. They can't change the system, so I understand that. But it is fundamentally a deep problem we have.
Pharmacies serve a vital role in the healthcare system. A study from July 2020 found that people on Medicare visit their pharmacist more than their physician.
What I like to describe it as is the pharmacist really being the point of contact in the medical home. It's the most accessible healthcare professional. It's the last provider that most patients see before going home. So demand and expectations tend to be high when it comes to the delivery of pharmacy services. A physician is trained to diagnose, to take care of the patient in that way. A pharmacist is indeed the drug professional. We know the ins and outs of drugs in various specialties.
Yeah, they the hustlers on the block. Got it.
And it's very difficult sometimes for a single person to understand all of the disease states, all of the medications, all of the nuances, all of the insurance information, all of the PBM information regarding managing that patient.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Yeah, do yourselves a favor. Michael Moore, Sicko, SICKO. Watch that documentary, then come back and comment in the comment section what y'all thought about it. Y'all gonna be tight. Word. But we gonna leave it there. Let me know what y'all thought about this video. My name is Rain. Catch you on the flip side. RCP salute. Dab on 'em.